Welcome back, Rec Watchers. I am here with another guest on our Sunken Live series, Dean McConnachie from the Dive Academy in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. Welcome back, guys. I'm so excited because I finally get my good friend Dean McConnachie from the Dive Academy here in Oakville. Dean, thanks for joining us for
thrilled.
Sunken Lives. You're a Sunken Live.
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, we've been talking about this a long time, so we finally get the opportunity to put it together. So this is cool.
Yeah, you're one of the first people that I told about this idea with Rec Watch.
Seems like 10 years ago now.
I know.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long, but it's taken a while to get things up and rolling. And
best things do.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
So we should just jump right into it. You are a diver, and not just a diver. I would think of you as one of the divers in
Lord,
Canada.
No pressure.
You're celebrating, is it 40 years in diving?
Yeah, I first certified in the spring of '82, wow. So 40 years this past May. Which is wrong, but it just is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have well over 3,000 log dives.
Yeah, I'm coming up close to 4,000. I'll probably roll 4,000 next spring. Wow. So it's a lot of bubble time and a lot of opportunity to have some fun. So yeah.
That's very cool.
A long time.
So let's go back to the beginning. How did you get into diving?
That's a wild story. In 1977, our family moved to southwestern Ontario down to Chatham, Ontario.
Okay.
And I went to school at John McGregor Secondary School. My English teacher was a guy by the name of Chris Cole.
Okay.
Some of you will know Chris. He's a popular diver and an author and sort of a staple in the dive community, so to speak. So Chris and I actually had a lot of fun together. We were involved in, like the photo club and the newspaper and all of that kind of stuff. Chris got married and went away to Bermuda on his honeymoon and went scuba diving.
Okay.
And when he came back, I had an opportunity to see some of the photographs that he took, and I went, I got to do this. So we ended up moving back to Burlington in '79, and I caught up with my best friend Ken, who I've literally known forever. And Ken and I were playing euchre at high school one day, and he turned to me and says, "You want to learn how to scuba dive?" And I went, "Yeah, that's what I want to do." So he certified in the fall of '81. I certified in the spring of '82, and that's it. For all intents and purposes, we haven't been out of the water since.
Wow.
And it has absolutely turned into at least a lifelong passion. Mm-hmm. It's turned into a professional career for me eventually, and it's been an incredible ride. It's one of the most important things that has been a part of my world. It's really cool.
And when did it transition from being a hobby to your life?
Yeah. In 2008, I made the shift from sort of, I don't know, corporate world, for lack of a better word, into the dive shop. And then Paul and I opened up here at the Dive Academy in Oakville in 2010. So we're through 12 years now. We're in 13. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
We've been here forever.
I think of all the dive shops around Southern Ontario, yours is probably the most active and the most popular.
Because of my ties to the community and because of some of my experience, I guess, for lack of a better word, this shop's a little unique. It's able to look after the needs of different dive communities. So I think because of all of that, yeah, we're busy. It's awesome.
Because of your experience and your expertise, both being underwater and using camera equipment, that's kind of put you in an interesting position with a lot of television productions, hasn't it?
It has. We've had, you develop a reputation for, understanding how to speak the logo, to look after particular needs, and then certainly get involved in some of the equipment itself. So we are direct dealers for a number of the major camera equipment guys, the Nauticams, the Ike lights, the strobe lights from Crack, and some different things from London, Ontario, a big, huge company that we do a lot of work with. It's a lot of fun.
Now you have dove all over the world. Can you just name a few of the places that you've dove that maybe the average diver wouldn't get to?
Some of the greatest diving I've ever done is right here in the Great Lakes. I mean, the local diving is incredible.
Now, a lot of people will be shocked to hear you say that.
Well, even in your first intro, it talks about, 6,000 wrecks in the Canadian Great Lakes. Mm-hmm. According to the insurance manuscripts, they're suggesting somewhere around 6,000 are lost in all the Great Lakes. According to the wreck hunt right now, we found about 2,200. We're only a third of the way there.
Wow.
There is a whack of hardware lying on the bottom of the Great Lakes that's just waiting to be found and discovered. So that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And we get to be involved in the community to do that.
Do you have any favorite wrecks that you've been involved with, or a favorite wreck to dive on?
Off the coast of North Carolina, North Carolina is a funny story because off the coast, specifically Cape Hatteras, there are over 2,200 shipwrecks that have literally beached themselves over the centuries. And there are some maps and things that you can see. It's riddled with wrecks all the way down the sandbar. What's also in the middle of all of these shipwrecks from weather is a cluster of iron boats that are there from World War II.
Wow.
So Cape Hatteras was originally an area where they would put together convoys that would load supplies up to sail to England for the war effort in World War II. Well, the German U-boats figured out what was going on, so they would park themselves off the coast of Hatteras. And there's an area there called Diamond Shoals that's just loaded with shipwrecks from casualties of these German U-boats. Every once in a while, the Americans got even and would sink a boat. So there are German U-boats to dive on off the coast of North America, and it's nuts.
While looking for stuff, you're bringing that up. You are part of an interesting project.
So one of the things that happens here at the shop and in some other areas as well, I'm involved in a group called CHA. So CHA stands for the Canadian Harvard Aircraft Association. So a lot of people aren't aware of this. Prior to World War II, the British knew that they were going to get involved in a battle. So they said, okay, we better start getting ready for this. So the British basically got all of the Commonwealth countries together and said, look, we need to start creating pilots because we're going to need them.
Yeah.
So here in Canada, all across the country, were airfields, air bases that were designed for building pilots.
Right.
So, the Australians, the Dutch, the Canadians, all of the Commonwealth countries sent their kids here to learn how to become pilots. So there was this massive training program across Canada. And so one of the planes that they built here locally in Canada is the Harvard Trainer. Most of you have seen those yellow airplanes at the airfields, those because they were in the air shows.
Yep.
Those are the Harvard Trainers.
Oh, okay.
So it's a Canadian plane that was designed and built, in many cases, by de Havilland and built here right at home. And so these kids were learning how to fly. Well, the good news is they built a lot of pilots. The bad news is pilots make errors and crash. So there are over 1,200 lost aircraft.
1,200. I knew there were some. I had no idea it was that many.
It's a big number.
Really?
There are 1,200 lost aircraft. And so what happens is the CHA group, working with Department of Defense, they've granted us access to Ottawa to go into the archives and go through the crash reports.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like, okay, crash recovered, crashed.
Not recovered.
Not recovered.
Right.
So we circle these targets and then go out and start looking for these things. We've spotted a number of airplanes. There's a couple that have parts and things recovered.
Okay.
So one of the greatest ones was right off of Crystal Beach in Lake Erie.
Really?
So a bunch of us found a Harvard that went in there, and the engine is still there. I've been on it a number of times. I got some film footage on it. And we've actually been granted the ability to pull a lot of it out. And so you can see a lot of the components that we've pulled out that are now static display in Dunnville at the Aircraft Museum in Dunnville.
So for you personally, what is it about finding something underwater, whether it's a plane or a ship, or what is it that draws you to that?
It's completion. I hated history in high school.
Me too.
I don't know of anybody who actually liked history in high school. I hated history in high school. And it wasn't until I had the ability to see something or touch something that things changed. And then you start getting interested in, like, well, how did it get there? You know, what was the story behind it? Who were the people that were involved? All of that stuff. So there's a lot of curiosity, and there's a lot of interest there for me personally to understand the story behind the mess.
Yeah.
And then in order to film it and touch it and then bring that to the surface and to the public.
We've talked a lot about cameras and your history, but to wrap this up, what is left on your bucket list? Where do you need to go? What do you need to do to complete? And I'm not saying right now, many years down the road, what is on the Dean bucket list for
What's
diving?
on the list? There is a destination that I'm actually quite looking forward to. We're planning to go in 2024, and this has been on my list and Ken's list for a long time, and now it's primary on Paula's list as well. My favorite shark
Okay.
is called a thresher shark.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know about thresher sharks. Google thresher sharks and see what these things look like. The thresher sharks breed off of a little tiny island called Malapascua in the middle of the Philippines.
Okay.
We've got a really good friend there who runs a dive shop, MTD Diving, and we're going to go see him. We're going to go have some fun. So we're headed to the Philippines to do some diving in Tubataha and one of my favorite resorts, Atlantis Resorts at Dumaguete.
Okay.
And then afterwards, we're going to bug out and go play in Malapascua
wow.
and film the thresher sharks.
Yeah.
So that is hugely high on my list. So that's a good one. Diving the shipwrecks of Malta is right up there on my list. And then the other place that I haven't done any wreck diving that is on my list that I need to do is Scapa Flow off the northern tip of Scotland.
Okay.
I've attempted to get there a couple of times and it just hasn't worked out. So those are 3 destinations that have to happen. I need to take a class in video editing.
Okay.
That's
All right.
a big one.
We may be able to help you with that.
There we
Yeah.
go. There's an awful lot of fun doing the film, but being able to create something that I can
put it
share.
into a story.
Right, put it into a story.
Yeah.
So I need to do that. That's a big priority for me.
Yeah.
I have some training that I need to do professionally in order to be able to offer some different courses that at the
Right.
moment I can't
Okay.
offer. So there's some of those things. After that, pray for health and just keep on diving. I have a yardstick. One of our divers, Stan Yo, was 93 years old, still diving with us.
Wow.
We've lost Stan now, but
Okay.
that's a bullet point to
Yeah.
me. It's like I need to be Stan.
Yeah.
So I got a long way to go. Fortunately, I have a long way to go.
It's a lot of
that's the
diving to
plan.
do.
A lot of diving to do.
And when it comes to the Great Lakes, something that I'm planning on doing here on Wreck Watch, and I've talked about it a little bit, is looking at some of the ghost ships, some of the Great Lake legends.
Yeah.
I'm talking about right now. Sean and I are right now looking at doing a little mini documentary on the Marquette and Bessemer, #2.
Amazing.
But there's a lot of other shipwrecks that need to be found. Some legends out there. Are there any that are on top of your list?
So this is interesting. One of the guys that I dive with, Greg Steffler, we call him Digger. That tells you everything you need to know about him when he hits the water.
That's a great name. Yeah.
He and I have been chasing a wreck in Lake Ontario for many, many years now. We know who owned it. We know when it went down. There was actually eyewitness reports.
Really? Okay.
We have everything except an X on the map. So this is a 3-masted schooner, which is a little unusual. It's a fairly big boat.
Wow.
It is in Lake Ontario,
Okay.
so it's a freshwater wreck. And depending on where it goes down, it should be within reasonable dive limits. Hopefully recreational, if not just a little bit beyond recreational limits. And it's out there. We just have to find it. So, you would think with all of the changes and improvements in technology,
Yeah.
they'd be easy to find. They're not. It's still beyond a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
So there's a wreck theoretically on Lake Ontario, not too far from home, that would be a remarkable dive site that we could have some fun with. So if we can find that sucker,
Yeah.
We'll have some fun with it. It'd be great.
We have so many places to explore, so many legends and ghost ships to find right in our own backyard.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
It's just a great time to be a diver. And Dean, I want to thank you for joining us
thrilled.
today. This
Thrilled.
won't be the last time that we talk to you.
Yeah,
I'm sure
we're gonna
we'll
have some
catch up.
fun.
We'll do some more stuff.
Amazing.
But right now, thanks, Dean. Really appreciate it. And I'm very excited about all the other great stuff that we have coming up here on Wreck Watch TV. So make sure that if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, and why not give us a like too. So thanks, Dean.
Awesome.
And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.
Safe bubbles.